Thank you, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Jacob. We worship you. If I could talk to you for a moment, Father, and tell you how it feels to be your child. Sometimes I beat myself up and I worry that I won't make you proud. See, I'm just trying to learn from all these lessons by keeping your Sabbath and keeping your laws. Yeah, I'm truly grateful for all the blessings to call you my Father, the God of Israel. So I wanna thank you. Thank you. I wanna show you my gratitude. Gratitude. So I wanna thank you, Lord. Thank you. I wanna show you my gratitude. Gratitude. Oh, Father, please forgive me, for I haven't been my best. Sometimes I fall weak when I am being tested. See, have mercy on my soul, for you're the only God I know. Oh, yes, I'll praise you, Lord, for you're my Father. So we wanna thank you. Thank you, Lord. We wanna show you our gratitude. Show you our gratitude. We wanna thank you. Oh, that's right, God of Israel. We wanna show you our gratitude. We wanna show you our gratitude. So we wanna thank you. We wanna thank you, Lord. We wanna show our gratitude. We wanna thank you. Thank you. We wanna show you our gratitude. God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob. Thank you. We thank you for our Elder Sharon. Yeah. We thank you for this doctrine. We thank you for our Supreme Council. We wanna thank you. We wanna thank you.
I will praise thee with my whole heart. Before the gods will I sing praise unto thee. I will worship toward thy holy temple and praise thy name, for thy loving kindness and for thy truth. For thou hast magnified thy word above all thy name. In the day when I cried, thou answerest me and strengthenest me with the strength of my soul. All the kings of the earth shall praise thee, O Lord, when they hear the words of thy mouth. Yea, they shall sing in the ways of the Lord, for great is the glory of the Lord. Though the Lord be high, yet has he respect unto the lowly, but the proud he knoweth afar off. Though I walk in the midst of trouble, thou wilt revive me. Thou shalt stretch forth thy hand against the wrath of my enemies, and thy right hand shall save me. The Lord will perfect that which concerneth me. Thy mercy, O Lord, endureth forever. Forsake not the works of thy own hands. Selah and Selah. Amen. That was Psalms 138. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Elder Shadrach, and the elders and the priests of the Israelite nation worldwide ministries, as well as to my fellow brethren out there in Cyberland, all the way in Jamaica, Missouri, Atlanta, New York, New Jersey, the UK, even Saudi Arabia. May I salute you in the fashion of my forefathers, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. I would like to begin by stating here at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, we, as mandated by the Canadian government, we are continuing to practice the social distancing and keeping all efforts of keeping everyone safe during these unprecedented times of the pandemic. For everyone tuning in on YouTube and Instagram, I would like to inform you that this Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries is not affiliated with any other group or camp bearing the name or term Israelite in it. Nothing similar. As a matter of fact, the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries is not a camp. Neither do we have any groups in bushes or forests or wilderness. And we do not call anyone here king. Our women does not call any man here king. I first would like to thank Elder Shadrach for all of his dedication, his time, his commitment, his long-suffering in teaching this Israelite doctrine of the truth and serving the one true and living God, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. For it is not an easy task. The Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries has long been taught by our teacher, Elder Shadrach, for many, many, many years. In fact, 30 years, even more. Elder Shadrach has traveled the world teaching about the true physical identity of the Israelites, my foreparents. He has traveled giving seminars like Bible and the Black Man, teaching that Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, David, Solomon, Samuel, Job, Zebulun, Paul, Absalom, all of these people and all of these Israelites were our foreparents, and they looked like me. When Elder Shadrach is going around the world and teaching this truth, the world was busy teaching us the lie. From even before you were in the womb, this lie has been perpetuated throughout the world, implanted in our minds visually. It is important to know who our foreparents were and how they look like. It's just a fact, it's the truth. Because if someone is trying to teach you that they didn't look like you, why would they want to do something like that? And for the people that look like me that teach from this Bible, why do you want to support the lie? Elder Shadrach has not only taught at seminars, but also showcased in songs, theatrical plays, musicals like The Journey, talking about the Israelites, who they were as a people before they got even to Western Africa. Who were they? What did they do? How did they live? How did they eat? Who were these Israelites? Elder Shadrach even wrote books, The Truth, the Lie, and the Bible, The Forgotten Israelites, The Israelites and the Dam, teaching through his books to the entire world, especially throughout the USA, where many of you still have those books in your home who attempt to teach from, and some even go as far as plagiarizing. But I tell you today that the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries is the living waters. Come here so that you can be cleansed with the truth. Elder Shadrach has also taught about the one true and living God, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, revealing the holy name of God unto his children, his people, the Israelites. It was a secret for a very long time. No one knew his name. And thankfully, the God of Israel found a messenger, even his servant, to reveal even that mystery unto his chosen people. Elder Shadrach is a gift child. He has used all of his talents to do God's work and to serve God. I would love to shout that I have been here from the beginning of time, since the inception of Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. But if I did that, I would probably be about 8 or 9 years old, back in the 80s or 90s. I was but a child then. But having grown up, I've been able to come into this truth and this knowledge and learn who I really am, an Israelite woman. By the time that I learned this truth, I began to travel and traveled throughout the US. So if Elder Shadrach was doing this in the 80s and 90s, and I got to learn about this in the late 90s, early 2000s, 2004 in fact, I've gone to Harlem, spent some time there. I never heard anyone use the term Israelite. Can you imagine that in 2004, walking the streets of Harlem from Lenox, also known as Malcolm X Boulevard, all the way to St. Nicholas on 125th Street, the infamous and most wonderful street in Harlem, even for the Harlem Renaissance, where everything goes down there. Every 2 to 3 steps, you have a vendor teaching about the Egyptology and Egyptologists. You have the Muslims selling their bean pies. You have a vendor spewing, every different vendor, people looking like me, spewing whatever it is they want to say about the world and the God that they serve. There wasn't anyone in 2004, 2005 in the streets of Harlem that I would speak to and say, "Hi, I'm an Israelite." I would get the confused look. An Israelite? What's that? I never heard of it. This is 2004. I never heard of it. I remember one day walking down the street as I was heading toward the New York, New Jersey branch of the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, where my brethren dwell. And I was walking down the street of 125th, and I ran into one vendor. And he had a bunch of pictures at his stall, outdoors for everyone to see. And there was a lot of lynchings and castrations and all these different visuals. And he asked me, "Hey, what's your religion?" I said, "Well, I'm an Israelite. My way of life is an Israelite." Immediately he smiled and smirked and he said, "Hey, I got something for you." And he pulled out a picture of a Gentile woman kissing a black man's feet, the child of Jacob's foot. And I looked at the picture and I looked at him. I looked back at the picture and I looked back at him. And he was smiling and I was not. And I said, "Well, why are you showing me this?" He said, "You're an Israelite, right?" I said, "Yes." "Isn't that what you want to see?" I was like, "No, why would I want to see that?" You see, the issue here is ignorance. The whole world is blinded. They think they know who an Israelite is, but you don't. In order to truly understand the life of an Israelite, you need to come to the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. We do not subscribe to hating the nations and having everyone bow down at our feet. No, we're just here to teach the simple, plain truth and about the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. What you need to do to serve him and to be in his good company. That's all. For the whole world has already been talking about, "Come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel shall be no more in remembrance, as it is written in Psalms 83. The whole world is saying that. But here, Elder Shadrach and the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries will remember. We will remember our Father's covenant, We will remember our Father's promises. We will remember our Father's glory. We will remember our Father's services. We will remember the Holocaust, the true Holocaust that has been brought amongst our people, the people that look like me, the atrocities, the lynchings, the whippings and the beatings, the people that came on the belly of ships to this country and throughout the Americas and the Caribbean and wherever we were scattered, because everybody had a hand in us. But we will also remember it was our disobedience that got us here. And we will also remember that our Father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has mercy for his people. We will remember his compassion, and we remember that our Father is always the keeper of the covenant. Let's turn to Hebrews 5, verse 12. For the time you ought to be teachers, you have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of God, and are become such as have need of milk and not strong meat. This was spoken about last night. You see, if you just became an Israelite yesterday, and you were probably eating swine yesterday, for those that don't know what swine is, pig, or maybe shellfish or shrimp, and then you came into this truth, and you were trying to tell us about the Bible, for all you commentators out there inside the world, please stop. You were but a babe. Elder Shadrach and the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries have been doing this. Drink milk. Learn. Humble yourself. Be obedient. Learn first. Come here and learn so that we can give you the meat. It amazes me how time and time again, week after week, every Friday night, every Saturday, the people that come into the inbox spreading their rhetoric. My goodness. If you would just humble yourself to the truth, the Israelite truth, you would see your way. Because at the end of the day, the God of Israel is going to choose whoever he wants to choose. He will choose anyone to do his work, whether you are black, white, polka dot, green, male, or female. He will choose who he wants from his Israelite family or even from other nations. A whole nation can be the God of Israel's enemy. But sometimes you may find help even in the enemy's camp. As strangers were always in the midst of Israelites. When we left Egypt, we left a mixed multitude. Let's turn to Jeremiah 38. And we're going to read from verse 3. Then Septaniah, the son of Mattan, and Gedaliah, the son of Pashur, and Jukal, the son of Shemaliah, and Pashur, the son of Malchiah, heard the words that Jeremiah had spoken unto all the people, saying, that was verse 1. Thus saith the Lord, he that remaineth in this city shall die by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence, but he that goeth forth to the Chaldeans shall live, for he shall have his life for a prey, and shall live. Verse 3. Thus saith the Lord, this city shall surely be given into the hand of the king of Babylon's army, which shall take it. Jeremiah's life as a prophet was definitely not an easy one. You see, every time he spoke, the Israelites would hearken but did not want to listen. Because when he spoke, it was always something that they didn't want to hear. Who wants to be told that they would be taken captive to another nation? And when they didn't like what they heard, they would do terrible things to Jeremiah. Sometimes they would slap him, beat him up, do all kinds of things. But let's read on, verse 4. Therefore the princes said unto the king, We beseech thee, let this man be put to death, for thus he weakeneth the hands of the men of war that remain in this city, and the hands of all the people in speaking such words unto them. For this man seeketh not the welfare of this people, but the hurt. So the Israelite men, Shebaniah, the son of Mattan, Geldaliah, Pashur, all these Israelite men wanted to do harm to Jeremiah. They wanted him to stop speaking. They wanted to find a way to bound his mouth, because every time he spoke, they felt or thought that he would discomfort the armies, that he would discourage the armies from going to war. And they wanted to do what they wanted to do, not what the God of Israel had planned. If they had only humbled themselves and listened to Jeremiah and go in the way of the Chaldeans to live, they chose not to do that, instead but to die. Verse 5. Then Zedekiah the king said, Behold, he is in your hand, for the king is not he that can do anything against you. Then took they Jeremiah and cast him into the dungeon of Malchiah, the son of Hamelech, that was in the court of the prison. And they let down Jeremiah with cords, and in the dungeon there was no water but mire. So Jeremiah sunk in the mire. So here we are. The princes, the Israelites, they took Jeremiah, the prophet, the man of God, who was already in prison, and said they're going to put him down the dungeon with cords. You know, it's funny because a lot of times when I speak to people that call me on the phone or want to have a conversation, sometimes they will reveal, hey, I had a dream and I was told that I should be a prophet, or that God spoke to me. And I look at them and I ponder, like, really? Do you understand what that task entails? Do you know what it's like to teach God's people? For even the God of Israel said to Jeremiah, don't be afraid of their faces. Even Jonah had to run away when he was supposed to go to Nineveh. Dealing with the Israelites is no easy task. Our people are a challenge, very difficult. So this dungeon that the Israelites decided to put Jeremiah in, they knew about this dungeon. It was not a prison, but a dungeon that they had to use cords to bring him down. So there were no steps. It wasn't like the fancy prisons you have today. I don't know if you play basketball, you can get an education and do all these things. This was a dungeon with no water. They put Jeremiah there thinking if he goes there, he will perish, because there will be no food. Let him suffer. Let him die of a famine. Let him die of hunger, not caring about the man of God. So they chose to punish him and keep him there. And while he was there, he was in the mire, the deep mud, sinking. Is that the way we treat the man of God? Sinking in the deep mud, cold, no food to eat, nothing you can do. There's no escape plan, but you're stuck in the dungeon by your own people, the Israelites. Verse 7. Now when Ebed-melech, the Ethiopian, one of the eunuchs which was in the king's house, heard that they had put Jeremiah in the dungeon, the king then sitting in the gate of Benjamin. Ebed-melech went forth out of the king's house and spake to the king, saying, My lord, the king, these men have done evil in all that they have done to Jeremiah the prophet, whom they have cast into the dungeon, and he is like to die for hunger in the place where he is, for there is no more bread in the city. So Ebed-melech the Ethiopian thinks of Jeremiah and goes and make a petition to the king. Hey, Jeremiah, the man of God, is sitting in a dungeon, basically waiting to die of hunger. And we must get him because there's no bread in the city. He was an Ethiopian. An Ethiopian coming to the rescue of Jeremiah. Then the king commanded Ebed-melech the Ethiopian, saying, Take from thence 30 men with thee, and take up Jeremiah the prophet out of the dungeon before he die. So Ebed-melech took the men with him and went into the house of the king under the treasury, and took thence old cast clouts and old rotten rags, and let them down by the cords into the dungeon to Jeremiah. Old rags, cast clouts twined up together, held together, basically becoming a rope so that we can bring Jeremiah out from the dungeon. It's not a secret that we've been doing this to our prophets all the time. Like Elder Sharrock always teaches, and the Israelite nationwide ministry always teaches, it is us that is our downfall. Time and time again, we kill our prophets. Time and time again, we are the ones that will destroy Israel. Time and time again, it is our disobedience that gets us into the place of slavery. Verse 12, And Ebed-melech the Ethiopian said unto Jeremiah, Put now these old cast clouts and rotten rags under thy armholes, under the cords. And Jeremiah did so. So they drew up Jeremiah with the cords, and took him up out of the dungeon. And Jeremiah remained in the court of the prison. So even though Jeremiah was taken out of the dungeon, he was put back into prison. Now, I don't know about you, but if I'm stuck in a dungeon and someone is coming to help me, I don't care whatever happens and I'm dying of hunger, I'm going to take that rescue or that help or that aid. It was Israelites who put Jeremiah in the dungeon in the first place. What was Jeremiah going to say? No, Ebed-melech, don't help me, you're an Ethiopian. That is nonsense. Nonsense, I tell you. The life of a prophet or even the man of God is not an easy one. I say, now that the Ethiopian has helped Jeremiah, does this mean that the God of Israel now loves all the Ethiopians? Let's go to 2 Chronicles chapter 14. Second Chronicles chapter 14. So Abijah slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city of David. And Asa, his son, reigned in his stead. In his days, the land was quiet 10 years. And Asa did that which was good and right in the eyes of the Lord his God. For he took away the altars of the strange gods and the high places, and brake down the images and cut down the groves. And he commanded Judah to seek the Lord God of their fathers, and to do the law and the commandments. Also, he took away out of all the cities of Judah the high places and the images, and the kingdom was quiet before him. And he built fenced cities in Judah, for the land had rest, and he had no war in those years, because the Lord had given him rest. So Asa, time and time again, we see the kings of Judah, good king, bad king, good king, bad king. But here we have Asa, a good king, so good that he even had a time of rest. He did everything that was right in the sight of God. He removed the groves, he removed the idols and the images and the high places of worship. He removed all the strange gods from Judah. And then he had rest. And in his rest, he did not get comfortable. In his time of rest, he got strategic. He started to plan. He built up the city and the fences and the walls, preparing it. God forbid anything should happen. Because in your time of rest or time of comfort, sometimes your passion dies. Sometimes you forget. And sometimes when you do that, you go astray. But not Asa. He prepared the walls of Judah. Therefore he said unto Judah, let us build these cities and make them walls and towers, gates and bars, while the land is yet before us, because we have sought the Lord our God. We have sought him, and he has given us rest on every side. So they built and prospered. And Asa had an army of men that bare targets and spears out of Judah, 300,000, and out of Benjamin that bare shields, and drew bows, 280,000. All these were mighty men of valor. During his time of rest and during the time of preparation, of course, someone doesn't want to see you resting. The other nations don't want to see you resting. Because remember, as it says in Psalms 83, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel shall no more be in remembrance. Verse 9, and there came against them Zerah the Ethiopian with a host of 1,300 chariots came unto Mersha. Then Asa went out against him, and they set the battle in array in the valley of Septata as Mersha. And Asa cried unto the Lord his God, and said, Lord, it is nothing with thee to help, whether with many or with them that have no power. Help us, O Lord our God, for we rest on thee, and in thy name we go against this multitude. O Lord, thou art our God, let not man prevail against thee. This good King Asa, although prepared his city and his walls, did not rely on his physical, tangible tools that he had. Instead, he humbled himself and went to inquire of the God of Israel, and to ask and cry and say unto him, it doesn't matter how much, nothing we have can help us, but we need you, God of Israel. We need you, for we rest on thee. In thy name we go against this multitude. We don't go for ourselves. We go representing you, for you are our God. So we are asking, O God of Israel, to please help us to fight against them and let them not prevail against us. So the Lord smote the Ethiopians. He hearkened unto Asa and smote the Ethiopians before Asa and before Judah. And the Ethiopians fled. And Asa and the people that were with him pursued them even unto Jerah, and the Ethiopians were overthrown, that they could not recover themselves, for they were destroyed before the Lord and before his hosts, and they carried away very much spoil. And they smote all the cities round about Gerar, for the fear of the Lord came upon them, and they spoiled all the cities, for there was exceeding much spoil in them. They smote also the tents of cattle, and carried away sheep and camels in abundance, and returned to Jerusalem. Jeremiah received help from an Ethiopian. And then the nation of Ethiopia came up against Asa, and God of Israel smote them. It doesn't matter. The God of Israel will choose who he wants to serve him from anywhere. Let's go to the book of Isaiah 56. Thus saith the Lord, keep you judgment and do justice, for my salvation is near to come, and my righteousness to be revealed. Blessed is the man that doeth this, and the Son of Man that layeth hold on it, that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and keepeth his hand from doing any evil. Neither let the son of the stranger that has joined himself to the Lord speak, saying, the Lord has utterly separated me from his people. We've dealt with the stranger topic for quite some time now. As it says in 1 Kings 8, if a stranger calleth unto thee, please God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Jacob, hear their prayer. This is not an Israelite. A stranger is from another nation. And this, I'll read it again, verse 3. Neither let the son of the stranger that has joined himself to the Lord speak, saying, the Lord has utterly separated me from his people. It's a complete separation, two different things. One, the stranger is joining himself unto a people, and the stranger is saying, please accept me. Don't separate me from your people. And neither let the eunuch say, behold, I am a dry tree. For thus saith the Lord unto the eunuchs that keep my Sabbath and choose the things that please me and take hold of my covenant, even unto them will I give in my house and within my walls a place. Even a eunuch, a dry tree, a man, not able even to bear his manhood, has a place in the house of the God of Israel. And not only does he have a place, but can even, and I'll repeat it, even unto them will I give in my house and within my walls a place and a name better than of the sons and of daughters. Of sons and daughters, I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. So the strangers and the eunuch can get a better name than even the Israelite son or even the Israelite daughter. Also the sons of the stranger that join themselves to the Lord to serve him and to love the name of the Lord, to be his servants, everyone that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it and taketh hold of my covenant, even them will I bring to my holy mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon mine altar. For my house shall be called a house of prayer for who? For all people. A house of prayer for all people. The God of Israel is going to choose whoever he wants to choose to serve him. The Lord God which gathered the outcasts of Israel saith, yet will I gather others to him, beside those that are gathered unto him. Two completely separate things becoming together as one. This is the place of the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. Like I said, the world and everyone else wants you to think that Israel is in no more of remembrance. But I say to you, Elder Shadrach and the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries will remember. We will remember the covenant. We will remember our father. We will remember the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. We will remember the sons, the daughters, those that were in the bellies of ships, those that were castrated, those that were lynched, those that were beaten. We will remember. And we will come back to our God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We will come back to Elder Shadrach and the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries and be fed. And you will be cleansed. And you will serve the one true and living God, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Those that have eyes to see must see, and those that have ears will hear. But we're not here to boast. We're here to give the truth, the plain and simple truth that has been taught to us. If you have been given the Spirit, you will understand. By now, I'm sure all of you have seen in the news everywhere that COVID-19 is running rampant. People have questions. People don't know what to do. They're talking about God or a God. They're looking left or to the right. They're wondering, they're going wherever the wind will blow them, wherever it takes them to and fro. But I want to say this. In all my times on Facebook and Instagram, it's troubling. It's troubling because for years, I would be at home sitting on the sofa at nighttime, late nights. I don't know if there's any late people that stay up late at night and flip through the channels of all the infomercials, click, click, or early Sunday mornings, click, click. And you see all of the faith healers and the blind man gets up and walk, you know, or the crippled man, gets up and walk, or the blind man now can see. Whatever it is, I used to see all those things on TV, and I'm troubled because I sit there and I'm wondering and I'm thinking, well, if they were able to make the crippled man walk and the blind man to see, why aren't they healing those with the COVID-19? I'm very curious. I wish I could get the answer to that. Someone please tell me. You see, everyone that does this and seeking and searching, they all have the zeal to serve God, like it says in Romans 10, but they do not have the knowledge. It's not an easy task to walk the life of an Israelite. For God failed, or should I say, we failed the God of Israel. Moses attempted, we failed him. David and the prophets and Samuel, we said, give us a king, but we have the ultimate king. Why do you want to be like the other nations? Why? Let's turn to 1 Timothy 2:5. I've been seeing this everywhere on Facebook and Instagram. 1 Timothy 2:5. For there is one God and one mediator between God and men, the man Christ Jesus. Just one verse everywhere, just one. But there's a whole Bible. You see, the first lie was they implanted a visual image in your head. And then the biggest lie was that they told you that there was only one God to the children of slavery. There's only one God? For you were in Egypt for 430 years, and there were many gods in Egypt. For even the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob said, I will destroy the gods of Egypt. I will destroy the gods of Egypt. Even before we were in Egypt, Abraham's father made idols and images to other gods. Throughout time in our history, we were amongst other nations that served many gods, and we went after those gods. It's no different now. It really isn't. For someone to come and tell you that there is only one God, I say run and run fast. For the first commandment says, thou shalt have no other God before me, for I am a jealous God. And if he is a jealous God, then that means there is more than one God. It's such an insult to the Israelites and to the Israelite culture and our way of life. You need to read the Bible from the beginning to the end to understand it. The God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob is the one true living God. But like today, other nations serve many gods in Hinduism, Buddha, whatever have you. There are many gods today as it was yesterday. Nothing has changed under the sun. So if nothing has changed under the sun, that means the Bible from the beginning to the end is just one book. There's no Old Testament or New Testament. It's just a continuation. A continuation. And if you read it from cover to cover, you would understand that, hopefully, or that you would know that this book is about one family. It is a family affair. You would know that Jesus did not come to die to say that the law is no more and everything in the Old Testament is done away with. Really? Who taught you that? Jesus did not come and die so the law would be no more remembrance. Makes no sense. For even the apostles kept the Passover after Jesus died. Let's go to Acts chapter 12. Now about that time, Herod the king stretched forth his hands to vex certain of the church, and he killed James, the brother of John, with the sword. And because he saw it, it pleased the Jews. He proceeded further to take Peter also. Then were the days of what? The unleavened bread. Passover and the feast of the unleavened bread. That is one of our highest spiritual days. That is one of our highest holy days. So if we did it in old time, and Jesus did it yet while he was alive, and then the apostle did it afterwards, where did it say that the law is no more and that you should no longer keep the Passover or the Feast of the Unleavened Bread? Is that in your Bible? Even after Jesus' death, Peter knew what food to eat, what was clean and unclean. For when he had his vision in Acts 10, he said to himself, we know that this wasn't a literal thing, it was applied to Cornelius, but he knew his culture. That's the point that I'm trying to point out there. He knew his culture. He knew he was brought up to have a dietary law of what to eat and what not to eat. The Israelite culture did not die away when Jesus died. The law still stands, and it stands firm, and it is strong. Even Jesus, who was born of a woman, was circumcised on the 8th day, as it says in Luke. Even Timothy, who had a Greek father and an Israelite mother, was compelled to be circumcised. And you can find that in Acts 16. Paul, who's constantly speaking about circumcision, uncircumcision. And Paul is an interesting Israelite. So I would like to say out there to you, if you do not understand Paul, please stop teaching from him. Stay away. For even Paul boasts, and even as he boasts, he says he is the stock of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob from the tribe of Benjamin, and was also circumcised on the 8th day in the flesh. And you can find that in Philippians 3. Let's turn to Matthew chapter 9. Matthew chapter 19, excuse me. Matthew chapter 19, and I'll start at the 16th verse. And this is Jesus speaking. And behold, one came and said unto him, Good master, what good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life? Isn't that the $1 million question? What can I do to have eternal life? What can I do? The $1 million question that's out there. And the answer is in this book, the Bible, from cover to cover. Simple. And what does Jesus reply? Verse 17. And he said unto him, Why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is God. So Jesus is not God? Okay. There's not but one good, and that is God. But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the what? The commandments. He saith unto him, which? It's always like an Israelite asking question after question after. You're just never satisfied with one answer. Which commandment? And Jesus said, Thou shalt do no murder, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, honor thy father and thy mother, and thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Keep the commandments. Nothing new there. Moses gave us that already when we were in the wilderness. Let's go to 1 John chapter 2. My little children, these things I write unto you, that you sin not. Sin not? So if you sin, you must be breaking the law. And if any man sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ the righteous. And he is the propitiation for our sins, and not for ours only, but also for the sins of the whole world. And hereby we do know that we know him, if we keep his commandments. We do know that we know him if we keep his commandments. He that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments, is a liar. And the truth is not in him. But whoso keepeth his word, in him verily is the love of God perfected. Hereby know we that we are in him. And verse 7, Brethren, I write to you no new commandment unto you, but which an old commandment which you have heard from what? The beginning. The old commandment is the word which you have heard from the beginning. Case closed. Nothing new. Nothing new in the New Testament. It's a continuation. Keep the laws, the statutes, and the commandments if you want to be in the God of Israel's family. That's who he chooses. There's no way you can say everything is done away with and all I have to do is say I love you and that's it. What an easy life we would all have. And if there's no laws, then what chaos? would we be in? It's absolute buffoonery. Absolute buffoonery. The law was never intended for the whole world, but just the Israelite family and those that choose to live like an Israelite. I know I come before you today, even as an Israelite woman, and I want to say I am qualified to do this job because I come from the stock of Sarah. I come from the stock of Deborah. I come from the stock of Huldah. I come from the stock of Tamar. I come from the stock of Miriam. I come from the stock of Naomi. I come from the stock of Hadassah. That is in my lineage. So I am more than qualified to teach this truth. Women are natural nurturers. If you look out in the world at the hospitals right now, who do you see in there? Nurses and women, nurturing, healing. It is no wonder that the God of Israel, Jesus said in the book of Matthew, that you, the man, should leave your mother and your father and cleave to your wife. Because in the time that the husband is going through difficulty or is struggling or is emotional, it is his wife that he will cleave to, that the wife will comfort him. Here at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, Elder Shadrach has always respected women. The God of Israel has always respected women. The Israelite Nation has always respected women. So don't get on that YouTube and that Instagram with your commentating and saying that women are not qualified to teach. You are a liar and the truth is not in you. If I leave you with this, my brethren, today, I definitely want it to be, that you remember when the whole world is trying to shut us down, tear us apart. We are the byword and the proverb, the shaking of the head. Make us like we are nothing. Kicking us out of China. Now we're saying we're not going to support certain businesses. Fine, we should have been unified a long time ago. Too long are we divided. Too long are we divided. I spent time in Brooklyn, walking up and down those streets for years, and even on every block had a shrine. We are too divided. This is the conquer and divide that they want. Let's not give it to them. For even the God of Israel said, I called my son out of Egypt. Let's remember that the whole world wants to come and cut us off from being a nation, that the name of Israel shall no more be in remembrance. And I say to you this day that Elder Shadrach and the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries will remember. We will remember our fathers, we will remember our covenant, and we will remember our promises. We will remember our disobedience and the hurt that we've caused our God, that put us in this bondage and this slavery, this mire that we are so trying desperately to get out of. We will remember the mercy and the compassion that our Father has, and we will come back together as one. So if you are searching and if you are seeking, I implore you and I ask you to seek out the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries and let us cleanse you with the truth, because here is where the truth is. With that, I say peace. I will now call up Priest Freddie. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one.
Good afternoon, everyone, and peace. I want to thank everyone for joining us here at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries on this afternoon. Now, that was my sister. And I'm so proud of her. She had said a lot of things, but Priest Doreen is one of our qualified teachers here at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. She has done so much work in terms of working with our people, in terms of getting the doctrine out there, and she exemplifies what it is to be a true servant of the God of Israel. So it is always an honor and always a privilege to hear words from my sister, who is a qualified teacher. Now, this Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, we are very, very proud of who we are. And as she stated in the beginning of her lesson, is that something that a lot of people do have to know and understand, and that is that we here at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, we are leaders. We are not looking for approval. We are not looking for acceptance. And we don't need anyone to validate who we are. So when you see my sister coming up here to teach, believe you me, she is qualified to teach. The women in the Israelite nation do not remain silent. Our women are not silent. Our women are proud. Our women are well educated. And they are qualified, especially to teach about this doctrine. So we do empower our women because we have the understanding of what it takes. The men here in this Israelite nation, we are not intimidated or we are not insecure about who we are. If someone tells you that women should be silent and that they should not teach, it's probably because they're insecure about something. Or maybe they still have some of the old wine of Christianity in them. And Christianity was what taught us that our women, or that women in general, should be silent in the church. But you have to understand the root cause of this is that the Israelite woman is not to be silent. The Israelite woman is to teach. And that is her mandate. As my sister said, women are nurturers. Women are the ones who are your first teachers. And I'm so glad and I'm so happy that Priest Doreen was able to come and to show exactly what it is here at the Israelite Nation. We are not afraid to have our women teach. She's my sister and a qualified teacher. And as I said, we're not looking for anybody's approval or acceptance for what we have to do. We are Israelites. We are the people of the book. And therefore, because we are the people of the book, what we do is we teach about our culture. We have our own culture, which is distinctively and uniquely ours. Our culture belongs to us. Our religion belongs to us. And from that religion and from that culture, we have a way of life. So we're not looking for anybody to accept us. I'm sorry if you thought that there is some sort of governing body that resides over the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries that dictates what we have to do and what we can say. I'm sorry. We are the authority of Israelite history and culture. So therefore, we're not asking for you to tell us what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. My sister said to everyone that's out there is that she said a lot of things, right? But what I want to address is something that she mentioned. And what we do here, it's completely unscripted. Like, we don't really prepare a whole lot when we come up here to speak to you because we're confident in what we do. Now, she said a lot of things that actually I was going to speak on today. One of the things that Priest Doreen spoke about, one of the most important things to us here at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries is our elder Shadrach. And she spoke about our elder Shadrach. And to tell you the honest truth, the hour that I've been allotted, it does not give me enough minutes to speak about this man and the work that he has done in order to bring our identity, our culture to us as a people. The hour, the day is not long enough. So if you ever wonder why we talk so highly and we speak we're just enamored with our elder Shadrach, is because we understand who he is. We've seen the work that he has done throughout the years, and it's something that we have to honor. We're not like other people, and we're definitely not like our forefathers of old when they experienced things, when Jeremiah or when Isaiah or when our elders came to actually speak and teach. We honor our elder Shadrach because we understand what he has done for us as a people. No, elder Shadrach is not the Messiah. We don't identify him as the Messiah. He's even said that he's not a prophet, but our elder Shadrach is a teacher. That's exactly who he is. He teaches, and we are honored to have him here with us, to have our elder teach us. Now, one of the things that you have to understand is that elder Shadrach, he put in a lot of effort and he did a lot of things. Now, I want to just highlight this, and I know that my sister had mentioned this, but I made some notes. And what I have here is that in 1990, the year 1990, our elder Shadrach, he wrote a book. It was called The Truth, the Lie, and the Bible. A groundbreaking book that by far the amount of attention that should be paid to the book and the words that he wrote in this book, there's not enough credit that's given to that. Not only that, he followed that up. In the year of 1991, he came and then he wrote another book called The Forgotten Israelites, which is another book that you should, if you haven't heard of as yet, if you know what? If you are an Israelite, to be quite simple and plain, if you are an Israelite and if you hadn't read The Truth, the Lie, and the Bible, The Forgotten Israelites, and these other two books that I'm going to mention, in 1993, The Word, the Israelites, and the Damned, our elder wrote that book. And then in 1995, he wrote The Spirit of Egypt in America. I need you to pay very, very close attention to those dates. 1990, 1991, 1993, 1995. There are a lot of people who weren't even born in those years. In those years, there was no internet. Just so that we can get a perspective as to what's happening. There was no internet in those early years. So therefore, you had to actually do research. Like, you had to go and find books. You had to dig. You had to search. It's not like today when you just simply get on internet and type in a couple words and believe everything that you read, or watch a video and think that you actually know what is taking place. So I'm talking about knowing and understanding. And if you don't know who Elder Shadrach is, it simply means that you are new. You're new to this whole Israelite doctrine. Because these things, our teachings go back 30 plus years. We didn't just start becoming Israelites, as my sister said yesterday, or the day before that, or even the month before that, or even the year before that. 30 years. I came in at about 30 years ago, but prior to me coming in, there were other people there. So we need to understand exactly where we're coming from when we do talk about the Israelite nation ruled by Ministries and who we are and exactly what we're about. Because as I said, we didn't just come around just yesterday. Now, don't get me wrong. There were, at that time, there were books out there that spoke about Israelites and Israelite history and the identity of the people Israel. But the difference is this. Elder Shadrach's books were the very first books to address the element that is missing from us as a people in order for us to gain the heights of what we have to gain, in order for us to be who we are. And our elder Shadrach, he was the very first Israelite to teach about the spirituality of the children of Israel. And that is very, very important. As I said in the previous weeks that I was here, there is a difference between knowledge and understanding. And when you have that difference, you start to really get an appreciation for what it is to be an Israelite. We're not just talking about knowledge, because when you have a true understanding and when you are in tune with your spirituality as an Israelite, that would lead you into the next phase, which is wisdom and understanding. Wisdom and understanding, they are gifts. Wisdom and understanding are gifts that cannot be bought. They cannot be purchased. They are gifts that you have to obtain. It's not something that you can buy with money. So this is where the Israelite nation comes in. Because all your questions, all your concerns, everything that I see on our messages, everything that I've come to understand what's being said out there, all those things that you have questioned about, we covered. And we have moved on. 30 years ago, we're not Johnny-come-latelys to this Israelite nation, to this Israelite doctrine. We didn't just pick this up. We have been living the life of practicing Israelites from day one. And not only that, we were in the New Testament teaching and learning from our elder Shadrach 30 years ago. So it's not really anything new. And it's definitely not something that we take for granted. We are proud of who we are. Now, my fellow elder, my brother, Priest Elder Andel, was here last week. And for those of you who didn't, I urge you to go and to really, really take a look at all the lessons, all of the videos, and especially even last week when my brother was up here and he so eloquently went into certain scriptures and he spoke about certain things such as, what it means to be an Israelite, what it is to be an Israelite here today, what it is to live your life as an Israelite in this day and age. Wisdom and understanding is required. So, I know this is something that we've dealt with, but I really and truly do have to go into this particular scripture. Now, it seems that for some people, I don't know, is it they don't get it? Or is it like it's something that escapes us? The very first principle that you have to know and understand when it comes to this book, when it comes to this Bible, the very, very most important thing that I have to say is that you have to know how to read. If you don't know how to read, there's really no point in you trying to understand the Bible. You really do have to know how to read. And reading is fundamental. Reading is something that is so simple that if you don't actually know how to read, you're going to have some really, really difficult times with this book. So I'm going to do this. We went to Genesis, and we're going to go into Exodus. Reason being, with my lessons or with my messages, I really like to begin in the beginning of things. To start at the beginning, it's something that you do have to understand. Now, I don't know what it is, but it seems like a lot of people might have missed this because we still get a lot of concerned people asking about this particular question. We'll do this. Exodus chapter 3, and it says here that from the first verse, Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert and came to the mountain of God, even to Horeb. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire of the midst of the bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire. The bush was not consumed. This is rather strange and it's rather odd. But let's just follow along here. So there's a bush. The bush is burning. And Moses turns to go and see what it is. And verse 3, and Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burned. And when the Lord saw that Moses is now inquiring, he turned aside to see. God called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. He said, this is Moses, here am I. And he said, this is the voice from out of the bush, saying to Moses, and he said, draw not nigh hither, put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place whereupon thou standest is holy ground. Moreover, in the next verse, he said, this is the bush, the voice from the bush, saying to Moses, I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, and he was afraid to look upon God. Now, we still get questions about people asking, what is the name of your God? The bush. The bush. The bush, the burning bush that didn't burn, is saying to Moses, I am the God of thy fathers. Why would the bush have to say that to Moses? Well, the bush, the burning bush, is identifying himself to Moses. Like, can we really and truly get a grasp of as to what's happening here? He didn't say to Moses that I'm something else, so that Moses would understand which God is speaking to him. I'm not even going to get into the rest of this chapter, because it should be plain and it should be evident for us to know and for us to understand exactly what's taking place here. The Spirit is identifying himself to Moses, and it's very important for us to know how he identifies. He says, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, so that you will know exactly what God you're dealing with. Now, my fellow priest, Adel, he dealt with a lot of things in such a short period of time, but I want you to know this. And if you do have a pen or a paper anywhere, just please jot this down, because there's some scriptures that need to just be reiterated for us to know and understand. So Genesis chapter 17, verse 5. Abram's name is changed to Abraham. Genesis chapter 17, verse 15. Sarai, Abram's wife, her name is changed to Sarah. In Genesis chapter 17, verse 19, Isaac's name was given. And in Genesis chapter 32, verse 28, Jacob's name was changed to Israel. Now, it's very important for us to know who is doing the naming, who is doing the change of names. Extremely important for us to know, because when you read those scriptures, you will start to see that they didn't change their names by themselves. They didn't go about and do these things. Their names were changed because someone who is an authority over them changed and gave their names. It's a really, really quite interesting thing to know. And also my brother mentioned with Moses as well too. Moses knew he was an Israelite from the time that he was a little boy, because Moses was circumcised. Moses was circumcised, which is how you identify the Hebrew people, the Israelite people. How you identify them is that from the time of Abraham, when his name was changed to Abraham, he was circumcised, and all his household, even the strangers that were with him, they were circumcised. And this is a way that you would identify who the people of Abraham was. With Isaac and with Jacob, the exact same thing is that they were circumcised. And I do have to add, men only. The men only were circumcised, because we hear, and we know about certain things that it's just disgusting. But the men of Israel, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they were the ones that were circumcised. Circumcision is the pivotal way that you have to. It's and this is not an option. This is not something that is up for debate or whether you can or you cannot. In order for you to be a true Israelite, a real Israelite, as a man, you must be circumcised. These are not our words, these are not our instructions, but these are the instructions that were given to us by our God. The God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob has said to us that you have to circumcise. As a matter of fact, you cannot be an Israelite if you are not circumcised. You cannot partake in the wholeness and in the spirit of the God of Israel. Because in order for you to do anything, even for the Passover, you couldn't even sit down. You can't even come to the Passover if you are not circumcised. So if there are anyone out there, if there's anyone that is trying to tell you that you don't need to be circumcised, as my sister said, run as fast as you can. Head for the nearest exit and do not look back. If there are Israelites out there teaching you that you don't have to be circumcised and that it's only circumcision of the heart, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Listen, let's do something, because my elder Shadrach, is a wise man, and I want to bring us to something that I learned in the year 1994. I don't want to give my age away too much, but in 1994, I learned this. Now, this is something that's very important for us to know. And what I'm going to do is I'm really going to address this to my brethren. Now, we know that we come here on Friday nights and on Saturdays, and we're doing this simply because of the situation that we are now in, that we now face. This never meant to be, but I guess it was meant to be. In terms of us actually teaching and being in your homes on Fridays and on Saturdays, because typically these are things that would be shared amongst us as a people. But because of the situation that we're in, we wanted to reach out to our brethren, and in doing so, we're reaching out to everyone else. So believe it or not, there is actually some good that came out of this whole COVID-19 situation and this whole coronavirus situation, because typically we would not do this, but in our separate branches, the teachings would continue, would be educated, regardless of the branch that you're in. But here we are today, and I want to address my brethren with this. Now, our elder Shadrach, he taught us and taught me this in 1994. It came from a story that, not even a story, but just a situation that took place. And I want for us to turn to the book of Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 44. It's very important, and I want to address this to my brethren. Let's read this. It says here, Jeremiah chapter 44, the first verse. It states this: the word that came to Jeremiah concerning all the Jews. Actually, no, we're not going to go there. My sister kind of dealt with this. We're not going to go there. What we're going to do is this. Instead, we're going to go to, here we go. We'll go to the book of Isaiah. We'll go to Isaiah. As I said, we're not really that scripted in terms of what we're doing. But we're going to do this. We're going to go to Isaiah chapter 44, and it states from the first verse, "Yet now, hear, O Jacob, my servant, Israel, whom I have chosen. Thus saith the Lord that made thee, that formed thee from the womb, which will help thee. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and thou just run, whom I have chosen. For I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, and floods upon the dry ground. I will pour my spirit upon thy seed, and my blessing upon thine offspring. And they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the watercourse. One shall say, I am the Lord's, and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob, and another shall subscribe with his hand unto the Lord, and surname himself by the name Israel. Thus saith the Lord, the King of Israel, and his Redeemer, the Lord of hosts, I am the first, and I am the last, and besides thee there is no God." Now, I'm going to do this. I'm going to read this over. And this is for my brethren who have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. And if you're out there in the internet world and you are my brethren and you understand what we're about to read, I want you to hit the thumbs up or fire symbol or even throw up some sevens if you truly understand. If you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. This is for my people. Fear not. From the first verse. Yet now, hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. Thus saith the Lord that made thee, and formed thee from the womb, which will help thee. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and thou just run, whom I have chosen. For I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, and the floods upon the dry ground. I will pour my spirit upon thy seed, and my blessing upon thine offspring. And they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the watercourses. One shall say, I am the Lord's, and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob, and another shall subscribe with his hand unto the Lord, and surname himself by the name of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, the King of Israel, and his Redeemer, the Lord of hosts, I am the first, and I am the last, and besides me there is no God. And who, as I shall call and declare it, and set it in order for me, since I appointed the ancient of people. And the things that are coming and shall come, let them show unto them. Fear ye not, neither be afraid. Have not I told thee that time, and have declared it, that ye, even my witnesses? Is there a God besides me? Yea, there is no God, I know not any. I'm not even going to get into it, but I want my people to know not to fear. When you see the numbers and when you see the multitude against us, fear not. Fear not, because they're going to spring up and they're going to surname themselves. We don't surname, but again, it would seem to the lay person that if you have knowledge, that this is a good thing. But when you have the understanding, when you have the spirit of understanding, and I thank my elder Shadrach so much for introducing us to the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, so that we can pray to our Father for the spirit of understanding. We can understand this scripture here, because a lot of people have it confused. They have it confused. And not only that, they actually use this scripture to say that it's okay to do it. Therein lies the separation between knowledge and understanding when you understand that scripture there. Because in Isaiah chapter 45, it says this from the first verse. Actually, no, I'm not going to go to the first verse. But Isaiah chapter 45, it says this. And verse 3. And I will give thee the treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places, that thou mayest know that I, the Lord, which call thee by thy name, am the God of Israel. You see the difference? Do you see the difference? If you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, you will see the difference. And it says here, for Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel my elect, I have even called thee by thy name. I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me. So as a father, as the authority, the father, the parents have the authority to name, to surname, to call, and to choose. This is where the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries stands out. We're above the rest. We are not like the rest. We are the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. We don't need anybody's validation. We don't need you to try to tell us what is right and what is wrong. We are the Israelites here today. Our forefathers are the ones that lived this book. Our forefathers are the ones who wrote this book. So, in order for you to understand where we're coming from, there are certain things that have to be laid out. But I do know and I do understand that there are people who are not going to, get the picture, and we're okay with that. We're not losing any sleep for people who don't really want to get what we're doing, or we're not out here to gather or to, we are here just to teach. That's what we do. And we have been teaching for quite some time now. You have to understand this, that the teachers of the false doctrine are in multitudes. Teachers of the false doctrine are in multitudes. But what we do is we follow the instructions. We walk in the footsteps of our forefather Moses, the one who gave the laws. Moses. Just think of it. Moses, the Egyptian name. Moses, who was raised as an Egyptian. Moses, who had to go to his people. Just think of that. Just think. Moses. We walk in the footsteps of our forefather Moses, and we follow instructions. We don't try to deviate from it, because believe it or not, there are some people out there that were actually upset. They're upset. They're saying, well, hey, what do you want us to do? Keep heathen names? You want us to keep the heathen names that the slave masters gave us? I really and truly don't care. What is it? What is your name? Agatha or Bertha, or I don't know. Your name is Reginald or something, or you don't like your name? Well, who named you? Like, if somebody named you Reginald, that's your parents who named you Reginald. There's nothing wrong with being a Reginald. I mean, what's wrong with that? Like, or if your name is Asquith or something like that. There's actually really nothing wrong with that. You see, you have to understand that your parents gave you that name. So now when you have the understanding or the knowledge, that you are an Israelite, don't, like, as a parent, I have children. I've named my children. Like, I was there to have your child come grow up and say, don't call me Asquith anymore. Called me, I don't know, Yahushua. That's my name. Don't call me that. I am Israel ben Yisrael. Like, huh? Like, so when your parents like call you, did they call you that when they pick up the phone to call you? I don't think so. Your dad's gonna call you and say, Gerald. Just think of it. He didn't call you Gerald. not gonna call you something else that he doesn't know. I mean, it's just simple basics, my people, simple basics. So, after today, I hope and I pray, but I know this is a very slim chance, that we're not gonna have to deal with this topic anymore. But if you feel the need to, please check out our videos, visit our site, and while you're at it, if you want to, you can always donate. We don't ask for people to pay us. No, that's not the deal. But if you feel that the messages that you're hearing, if you feel that it's fruitful, by all means, you can smash the like button. You can, if you want to. This is not mandated that you do it, but please, I mean, what it does is that it'll probably help us to get a better camera that we have right now. So by all means, go right ahead. We would love it, actually. But I want to deal with something as well too that I've noticed. I noticed in some of the comments and some of the messages that come to us. Now, I'm really gonna address this here. Just dealing with I guess you can say fake Israelites, because there is such a thing as a real Israelite and a fake Israelite. But before I do that, there's some people that made a comment, and I saw something that kind of, to me, it's not that I got emotional or whatever it was, but I'm very proud of certain things. So when you see my brother, Elder Kistrilli, teaching, when he's there sitting and when he teaches, or even some of his old videos, like 12 years ago, you see him teaching. It's the same person, Elder Kistrilli. Elder Kistrilli, let me tell you something about him. He's my brother, and he might not look like me, but Elder Kistrilli is my brother. And the thing that you have to know, everyone out there inside the world, what you need to know is this. Elder Kistrilli is Elder Shadrach's first student. The very first student of Elder Shadrach is that man that you see in the video sitting with my brothers. He was there before I came to the Israelite nation over 30 years ago. I'm saying this really slow so you really start to understand. When my Elder Shadrach went to try and teach his own people, and they would spit in his face because he was trying to educate them about being Israelites and what it means to be an Israelite, my people spat in his face. But Elder Kistrilli was the very first human being, black or white or otherwise in between, was the very first person to say that I will walk with you and serve your God. So when you see Elder Kistrilli, my brother, on those videos, just so that you know, he is not some random white guy that just came in here yesterday. My first Passover that I went to, that I attended, was in his basement. When I first met Elder Kistrilli, he stretched out his hand and said, "Nice to meet you, I am Shad's brother." This is over 30 years ago. So don't come to our site. Don't come to our home and try to tell us anything. Oh, lose the white boy. Who the hell do you think you are? This is family. And that's what separates Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries from everyone else. We are a family. We are not some organization, group, or camp, or whatever it is you want to call it. We are a family. Elder Kistrilli is my brother. When he prays to my God. He calls the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob by name. And if you want to know something, we read this book and we see all these different gods that are in here. But something you need to understand. Serving another God can be as simple as a simple word. Because from that simple word, you will find out that you not only serve another God, but you don't even do the things that we do. We are proud to call upon our God. Elder Kistrilli is our family. He is my brother. So yes, he doesn't look like me, but he's Italian. And he's my brother, and has been Elder Shadrach's brother, and all my brethren, regardless of where we are, he has been our brother from day one. Before we black people came to Elder Shadrach, Elder Kistuli was standing there by his side. He is a qualified teacher. He is a qualified educator of this Israelite nation, Worldwide Ministries, and our doctrine. So yes, if you are a child of Jacob and he is teaching you, shut up and listen. He has the authority to teach you. I digress. Just a little bit. But I had to make that clear. Simply because I saw some comments and some things that you don't even know who we are, but you're going to make comments. You don't even know what we do, but you're going to make comments. Listen, what you can do to just, as a shortcut, just visit our website if you don't know who you are. And just go to the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries website, and you know what? You'll see who we are. It's really not a mystery. That's the good thing about today in this internet technology and things that we live in. So again, let me deal with this, because I know that there are new people, there are new Israelites that are out there, and you have just come out of Christianity, and we do understand that. So it's very difficult for the lay person to really understand what's happening here. Because when you go out to look, you're going to see all manner of Israelites that are out there. And the good thing is that when I started, 30 years ago, when I started, there were no Israelites. My sister said so eloquently that in 2004, when she came around, there were still no Israelites then. Nobody knew anything about being an Israelite, but nowadays everybody is an expert on being an Israelite. So this is what you're going to have to do, because it can be confusing, and I understand this. The first thing that you have to know and understand is that this book, the Bible, the 1611 translation version of it, this book is not a Christian book. There are no Christians in this book in terms of Christianity. There is no practice of anything that Christians do in this book. Absolutely nothing. There is nothing that you can find. There is no, I can't even get into it. There is nothing in here that will tell you that this book belongs to Christians. So when you are starting when you're starting to wipe all that stuff out your eyes, and you start to come to the awareness that this is an Israelite book, usually what you're going to do is you're going to go shopping. You're going to do some Israelite shopping, as I call it. So as an Israelite, you go shopping. As a person who's just woken up, you're going to go shopping to look for what it is to be an Israelite. And unfortunately, for the most part, you're not going to see us first and foremost. I'll give you that. But don't let your search be in vain. Continue your search. Because as you go shopping for Israelites, depending on what you are, depending on the person that you are inside, you are going to somehow gravitate to some Israelite teaching that's out there. You will, because you come to the understanding that the people in the Bible are black, the God is black, so you're going to go shopping for an Israelite. Now, what I do is this. You have to know that just like shopping, especially when you go to the grocery store, and I'm going to use this the peanut butter analogy. And what I mean by this, so you're going to the store and you're going to go shop for peanut butter. So the first thing you're going to do is you'll look and you'll see that there's a price, maybe $3.98 or something like that, and then you see one peanut butter there, and then there's another peanut butter there that's for like $5-6. So naturally, what you're going to do is you're going to look for the one that's on sale, right? So you get the peanut butter that's on sale, you pick up that peanut butter, and because you now know that you are an Israelite, you're going to read the ingredients, because you should know that there's things that we eat and things that we don't eat. So when you pick up the artificial peanut butter, you pick it up and you start to read it, and it's got stuff like hydrogenated chlora, something another. It's got coloring. It's got some additives, preservatives. It's got icing, sugar, and stuff like that. It's got gadgets, gizmos, words you can't pronounce or understand. And if you're like me, you'll get your phone out and type in what the heck is this ingredient? Because I don't know what it is. So, you look at it and say, wow. And then you reach over there, you get the other peanut butter that's not on sale, the natural peanut butter, and then you look at it and you read the ingredients, and it says 100% roasted peanuts. You look at the artificial one, and artificial is just a nice way of saying fake. You look at the fake one, and it's got hyphenated words to describe it. But the natural peanut butter, 100% roasted peanut butter. Roasted peanuts, sorry. So the choice is yours, really and truly. If the Israelite that you're looking for has hyphenated names on the label, if there are ingredients that you can't pronounce, and if there are additives and preservatives, gizmos and gadgets and all these things that are, it's like there's a laser show coming out, it's got lasers and dancers and wow. But the peanut butter that you're looking for, the natural peanut butter, 100% roasted peanuts, the choice is yours. I have to laugh because shopping for an Israelite, it's much like going to the grocery store. When you're shopping for an Israelite, the Israelite nation, Worldwide Ministries, we are nothing added. There's no preservatives. There's no things that you really and truly got to go and search up. Or we're just Israelites, plain and simple. There's no hyphenated name on our labels. That's just who we are. And that's what we are proud to represent. Now, I want to get into some more scriptures because, that's what we do. So, believe it or not, my topic today, my topic was actually, or is, to deal with something that is, again, it's near and dear to us. It's the topic of Esau, Edom, and the Gentiles, because that's something that we really and truly, we gotta discuss Esau, Edom, and the Gentiles. So what we'll do is this. We're going to go to the book of Genesis, and I so much love going to the book of Genesis. In the book of Genesis is where we get our beginning. In Genesis chapter 10, I dealt with this before, but in Genesis chapter 10, it's very interesting. It says here, Genesis chapter 10, from the first verse. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, Meshach, Tyrus. The sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Riphtha, and Togarmah. The sons of Javan, Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodan. And verse 5 is what you have to pay attention to. It says, verse 5, by these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone according to his tongue, and after their families in their nations. Now, you can go just about anywhere, and you can find, and you actually have to do this real quick, because in looking at and reviewing a couple of these things, I noticed that there are certain maps that you can find in your Bible, and it would show you where the descendants of these people, the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, where they actually situated and where they spread themselves out to. There are some Bibles now that don't have that map. They don't have the map of the nations of Noah. So by all means, what you need to do is just go ahead and look for it. Usually they're quite correct as to where the placement of the children of Japheth are. So it's very important. Now, I could actually even just close the book at this point in time and don't even have to discuss it any further, because that identified the children that were, it says that by these were the isles of the Gentiles divided. So Japheth's children dwelt in these lands that are identified unto them. But still, there's some confusion. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to go into, again, Genesis. And in Genesis, we're going to do this. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 25, because this is very important. Genesis chapter 25 is very important for us, because as Israelites, we teach about our culture. We teach about the history of our people. In Genesis chapter 25, from the 19th verse, it says this. Now, these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Pandanaram, the sister to Laban, the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went and inquired of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old and 10 when she bare them. I want you to understand this, because there's a lot of people that like to skirt over this issue. Here's Jacob, and here's Esau. Their mother had just given birth to both of them. So Jacob and Esau came from the same womb. They're brothers. As a matter of fact, they're twins. The way people are going about it today, you would think that there is absolutely no, that Esau is just some person that came out of nowhere. Esau was Jacob's twin brother. They came from the same womb. Now, as a father, I'm just a father. I have children, and I have been there for the birth of my children. Now, that's one thing. But when you are a mother, it's on another level when you give birth. So, our mother gave birth to twins. Now, people would have you believe that, I don't know, what did she do? Just take Esau and throw him out? Just threw him out the camp, threw him out the tent, and then he just grew up by himself? We're talking about a family here. Twins. If you are a mom and you give birth to twins, like, just think about it. There is no greater joy, and especially now in these days, to give birth. And understand this, Esau and Jacob are twin brothers. So what do you think happened to Esau when he was 8 days old? I don't know. What do you think? What do you think happened to Esau as he grew old? Oh, I don't know. He's with his father. He's with his people. Esau, his culture is identical to our culture. He was raised among shepherds, as we were. Esau is not a stranger. Don't be confused with Esau and the Gentiles. There are 2 completely different people. The heritage of Esau is the heritage of the Hebrews, because he was there. This is not some mystery. This is not something that you can't understand. I didn't write the book, but look what it says here. It says that the boys grew. They're boys, they're brothers. I have a brother. Most of us have brothers and siblings. What do you think happens when you're children and you You grow up together. You share the same culture. You're one and the same. So yes, Esau was he could be considered to be a Hebrew. But the difference with Esau, and I want you to know this, and it says here in verse 27, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Mom, dad, like, one has their favorite. But are you looking at this? The favorite of the dad. What's the dad's name? The dad's name is Jacob, who would later become Israel. This is the same person. And he loved his son Esau more so than he loved his son Isaac, because he was loved more with his mom, and he stayed with his mom. He was a plain man. But which dad wouldn't love their son who went out to hunt? Just get a bow and shoot animals, and yeah, that's my boy. That's Esau. He might have looked a little bit different, but that's my son. He might have been really, really light-skinned, but that's my son. As a parent, you love your children, and it's evident in these scriptures. Extremely relevant, and you can see that this is a family issue, that they are twins growing up together. Now, Esau did certain things that wasn't too pleasing to his parents. And you can go into the books of Genesis chapter 26, and what we'll do for just a tad, what we'll do is this. We will even go into Genesis chapter 26. I do have some time, and we will go and discuss certain things. In 26, it says here, in verse 34, and Esau was 40 years old when he took to wife Judith, the daughter of Beeri the Hittite, of Beshemeth, the daughter of Eldron the Hittite, which were a grief of the mind unto Isaac and Rebekah. As parents, you grow your children up a certain way, and you want them to follow in your lifestyle. But when Esau decided he was going to take a wife or a couple wives from some other people, his parents were upset. Well, what are you seeing here? You're seeing family. You're seeing a relationship that is being told and what is being brought up here. So these stories in the chapter 27, you will go on to discover the characters of Jacob and Esau. They're wonderful stories for you to read and for you to understand. But what you have to know and what you see is that there is an interaction, there is a relationship between Esau and Jacob and the family of Israel, that they are actually one. They're family. These people they're not strangers. So when we talk and when we teach, we give you the complete picture. We're not just pulling up Esau out of absolutely nowhere so that you don't understand who he is. Because the people that talk about Esau as if they know, they really and truly don't know or understand that Esau was part of the family. It's just that he made certain decisions and did certain things that his parents didn't like. So let's do this. Let's go to, I'm going to skip just a little bit, because we do know the story of Esau and how he sold his birthright and what he did. But there was something that took place. And it says here in Genesis chapter 32, when we go to this here, it says here that Jacob at this particular time, he's going to go and meet his brother. He had just come from living amongst Laban, and he stolen the birthright. He did, but that's what he was directed to do. The God of Israel put these things in place, and our father had Esau lose his birthright to his brother. But as the scripture says, the elder shall serve the younger. So Esau grew up with that, hating his brother. But that's really and truly none of your business. It has nothing to do with you. This is a family matter. So when you go to read scriptures like Malachi, where it says that God hated Esau, that's none of your business. That's the God of Israel business. If he decides that he wants to hate Esau, that's up to him. So I'm sorry. you're stepping out of your place when you think that you have some personal vendetta against Esau. Vengeance is not yours. Vengeance belongs to the God of Israel. And if he decides to deal with Esau, how he will deal with Esau and Edom, that's completely up to him. But it's none of your business. You can't get in the way of what the God of Israel is going to do. He did those things and he said those things because of what Esau did. But it's not your place to go out and hate Esau. The words say that God hated Esau. So leave the God of Israel to what he's doing when he's dealing with Esau. That's none of your business. Because all that hatred, and this is what happened when Esau came to meet Jacob. This is what took place. From the first verse, Genesis chapter 32. And Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met with him. And when Jacob saw that he said the God's host, and called up the name place of Mahraim. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother, and unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, Thus shall you speak unto my lord Esau, thy servant. Jacob thus saith, I have sojourned with the band, and stayed there until now. I have oxen and asses and flocks and manservants and women servants, and I have sent to tell my Lord that he might find grace in thy sight. And the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, We came to thy brother Esau, and he also cometh to meet thee with 400 men with him. And Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people. So Jacob is going to go meet his people. He's going to go meet Esau. So he's afraid. You can get into the story and read it even more so. But this is what happened when they met. You would think that Jacob was going to die at this situation, at this point. But that's not what happened. That's not what happened. We're going to go to chapter 33, and I just have a little bit more time. This is what happened. When Jacob met his brother, after all these years, his brother Esau, that he thought wanted to kill him. This is what happened in Genesis chapter 33. And it says here, in the 3rd verse, and he passed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. And Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. They were brothers. Esau, Jacob are twin brothers. We at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries are not afraid to teach. This is our culture. This is our family. This is what took place. So when people come to you about Esau and all this talk about Edom and Esau, just so that you do know, these 2 men were brothers and twins. It's not about being a Gentile. Esau's not a Gentile. If that was the case, you would have seen the lineage when we've read in Genesis. I'm sure we would have saw Esau in there someplace. But Esau is not a Gentile. Esau's heritage is much like our own. He was a shepherd. He was raised among shepherds. What language did he speak? I laugh because I always ask that question. What language did our forefathers speak? So at this point in time, I think I've come to the conclusion. Let me know, are we taking up any questions at this point in time? Not today? That is, well, what you can always do, you can always contact us here at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. You can, by all means, if you have any questions, send them our way. Hopefully some of the questions that have been asked leading up to this point, hopefully they're answered. But just bear in mind that what we do here is we teach. We are under the guidance of our elder Shadrach. And our elder Shadrach we owe the utmost respect to. The people that you see here that come and teach, whether it be a Friday or whether it be a Saturday, whether you've looked at our old videos, they are all in authority to teach, including my brother, Elder Castrilli, when you see him. We're not about skin color here. We are about the truth. And as my sister earlier stated, that we are that house. We are there waiting for you. We're not going to brag, we're not going to boast, but when it comes to this book, we are the authorities of this Israelite book, and that's who we are. I want to thank you for joining us today, and I do hope and pray that you stay safe. Stay indoors and stay safe as much as you possibly can, according to what they're telling us right now. And with that being said, I want to salute each and every one of you, my brethren that are across the world and that are here with us. I salute you all in the name of our fathers. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Thank you.
We worship you. If I could talk to you for a moment, Father, and tell you how it feels to be your child. Sometimes I beat myself up and I worry that I won't make you proud. See, I'm just trying to learn from all these lessons by keeping your Sabbath and keeping your laws. Yeah, I'm truly grateful for all the blessings to call you my Father, the God of Israel. So I wanna thank you. Thank you. I wanna show you my gratitude. Gratitude. So I wanna thank you, Lord. Thank you. I wanna show you my gratitude. Gratitude. Oh, Father, please forgive me, for I haven't been my best. Sometimes I fall weak when I am being tested. See, have mercy on my soul, for you're the only God I know. Oh, yes, I praise you, Lord, for you're my Father. So we wanna thank you. Thank you, Lord. We wanna show you our gratitude. Show you our gratitude. We wanna thank you. Oh, that's right, God of Israel. We wanna show you our gratitude. We wanna show you our gratitude. So we wanna thank you. We wanna thank you, Lord. We wanna show you our gratitude. We wanna thank you. Thank you. We wanna show you our gratitude. God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob, we thank you. We thank you for our Elder Shadrach. Yeah. Oh, we thank you for his doctrine. We thank you for our supreme counsel. We wanna thank you. We wanna thank you. We wanna show you our gratitude. So we wanna thank you. We wanna thank you, thank you, Lord. We wanna show you our gratitude. 'Cause we're truly grateful. We wanna thank you. That's right, oh God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We wanna show